An expert NASA panel tasked with analysing and studying unidentified flying objects held its first public meeting on Wednesday in Washington. The 16-member panel was formed last year. It's set to release a report into their findings next month. The panel says, while most have a rational and reasonable explanation, some incidents remain a mystery to science and better data is needed.
To understand UAP better, targeted data collection, thorough data curation, and robust analyses are needed. Such an approach will help to discern unexplained UAP sightings, but even then, there's no guarantee that all sightings will be explained.
Joining me now for more, astrophysicist and cosmologist Dr. Brad Tucker, who calls these UAP because that's what the experts call them. I just say UFO.
So, and the reason we've kind of gone down this rabbit hole of naming is because some of them are phenomenon rather than objects, right? Like the idea of UFO implies it's always a physical thing where some may not be it. But yes, flying thing we don't know.
You've always got an answer for this. I'm going to keep saying UFO. I'm tabloid. So NASA's telling us allegedly what they know, but also what they don't know. 800 or so sightings have been investigated. A handful have a definitive explanation, but I'm more interested in 15 or 20 where they don't really have any idea of what happened, what it was.
Yeah, and part of the reason this whole panel was created was to sort out the ones we could identify from the ones we don't. And that kind of sounds weird, but it's actually a simple start because there are ways that if you have a bunch of people with different expertise, which this panel is, this panel, David Spurgo, who was just talking, does cosmology and mapping of stars. You have someone who was a science writer and the daughter of Frank Drake, who come up with the original equation of, does life exist? You have such a diverse panel there where it's saying all these people in a room who know something, drones, AI, weather conditions, if they all take their own expertise and say, all right, actually that clearly fits this thing that we know from our field. Let's reduce the things we know so we're actually then left with the things that we don't know.
I'll just get them to roll that vision before. There were two actual examples that we've been rolling up there, which I think they're saying they know what happened. So this one, what's happening here?
So that's Starlink. So that probably right away was Starlink. So Starlink is NASA's SpaceX satellites, where they're satellites that move in a row or a constellation.
Look at them, 3 dots all
yeah.
in space.
In fact, a lot of people see this in the early morning hours.
And then here we saw this shape fly across the camera there.
Yeah, so that's probably Starlink. Again, I don't know what the report is, but that looks exactly like Starlink. These are satellites spaced evenly apart to give us internet coverage. And a couple of these other ones, some are, firstly, I don't like it when people say, physics can't explain it. Well, that's wrong. Our understanding or your understanding of physics may be able to explain it. It clearly exists, right? It's not a non-existing thing. And I think that's the point. Is there is knowledge that can feed into these things to help us inform what these objects,
sort of like a bullet, a big bullet shape.
It could be a bullet. It could be one of those balloons that people are chasing, right? Let's think about the whole Chinese spy balloon thing. There are multiple balloons in the sky at any one time. All of a sudden, NORAD changes the sensitivity of the radar and they find year 5 science experiments and decide to shoot them down. Right? If you look at, that's what they did, right? So if you look at things enough, you can find weird things. I think the key is knowing what those normal things are so we can focus on somewhat the weird things.
So here's this thing flying across. Okay, look, the benign explanations I quite liked. In one case, a burst of radio waves were happening. Australian researchers, with every lunchtime, what's happening? It was the microwave they were using
at parks. And in fact, the student, Emily...
So not far from here.
That's right. Emily realized this because it wasn't happening on the weekends. Because the visitor center wasn't open with the microwave, and it was only certain hours. So there are simple things that are weird, but if you go through the data, and I would say also the difference we have now is we actually have data. 30 years ago, people didn't have the videos or the recordings or the footage showing, hey, I saw this thing in the sky. Well, it could be anything. Now, when you see these things, that we can actually start investigating. I think that's the good thing, is actually a official way of studying it rather than we don't know or it's weird.
Optical illusions included 2 NASA pilots convinced they saw a UAP near Virginia Beach. It was a Bart Simpson balloon.
Party balloons go up. It's called space. It's called like space rubbish, right? Balloons going up.
Helium.
Yeah. You know, all those like birthday announcements or gender reveals. Where do you think that goes?
Yeah. No comment on that. And what those life forms must think of us. A lot of
they don't think
pink
we're
and blue
intelligent.
balloons now. Two questions I have. So what we know about space travel.
Yeah.
Is it hard to imagine any intelligent beings just getting to Earth from how far away they must be? Or could it be explained by totally different travel modes or a wormhole or all this sort of stuff? Is that, where do you sit on that?
And so I think that the thing is, yes, right now, through the way we know of physics and our understanding, if you can travel at the speed of light, which we think what the fastest it could be, it would still take years to decades to centuries. Even the next star to us would take 4 years at the speed of light. They would have to have left March 2019 to get here today.
Right.
So now, are there maybe other ways that you can travel? Maybe the speed of light isn't the limit. Maybe there are things like wormholes. The stuff that we can do today, reusable rockets and propulsion systems, didn't exist. AI on drones didn't exist 10 years ago, let alone 100 years ago.
I guess is the other thing. So if people can't live long enough, or these beings can't live long enough, there could be drones sent there. But here's the other one. If some intelligent being can watch us or send crafts or something, their technology would be so far advanced, why would we even bother monitoring them? We'd be at their mercy, wouldn't we?
We can. I mean, a lot of this is our own fear that we naturally think someone coming to us would be...
That Will Smith is needed in an airplane right now.
But we also are a curious species that want to go look for life to understand it, and they could be doing the same thing. There's even more sinister ideas of this, that maybe we're just one giant zoo to them, and they're just looking how it plays out.
An experiment.
We could be.
They started, and then.
That's right. We could be a giant experiment that one day the funding's cut off and the experiment ends.
Let's hope not. All right. We might talk once the full report is out. Brad Tucker, always get to give you thoughts. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.